Hi everyone, great so many of you can join us today. I'm Katie King, as Kulvinder said, and I've got about 20 minutes and then of course the Q&A that was mentioned to talk to you about, in a very honest, pragmatic way, not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes, not selling you anything, but about how you can harness artificial intelligence for competitive advantage all over the world in all different industry sectors and whatever your business function. So use the hashtag inspired by Katie if you want to win a copy of my book. Here it is here, got a copy here for you, and it'll be a digital copy of that book. It was basically a year of research, and I'm 53 and I'm always learning, and you have to pivot. And AI is about staying up to speed with new technologies. It's the next layer of automation. So if you're like me and you've been in business for 30 years, you might be in your comfort zone. I'm strongly urging you to step quickly out of that comfort zone, to embrace it, to get trained, to not go and learn to code if you're not a technologist, but basically get up to speed with these kinds of technologies, because otherwise you will, if you leave it more than a year or two, get left behind. So I spent a year writing this book. It's all different case studies, successes and failures, and it's opened lots of doors for me and helped me pivot into a slightly different space. I'm on the all-party parliamentary group for the adoption of AI in enterprise. So the book's a year old now, even though it's just been translated into lots of languages. But monthly, I'm hearing evidence from all over the world, from incredible academics, business people, and so on. So I'm sharing with you today my nuggets of wisdom about AI and how you can use it. But before we really get into it, what do we mean by artificial intelligence? We're really talking about the ability of machines, and I don't just mean robots, I mean software embedded programs in computers, in iPads, as well as robotics, to imitate intelligent human behavior. And when we refer to the subset, so this is a family of technologies, and underneath this family of technologies that's been around for 70 years, you've got machine learning as well. And that's really using pattern recognition and algorithms. An algorithm is a simple set of instructions, enabling machines to accelerate their learning through experience. We've got narrow AI, where it's dedicated to one task. And then we're moving into areas like general artificial intelligence, where they're performing a bit more like a human. And ultimately, which a lot of people are quite scared about, probably will never happen, according to many experts, super artificial intelligence, where actually the AI is more intelligent than a human being. Where we've been for a few years is on the runway. All the new technologies get up on this runway. This is the Gartner hype cycle. We've had the peak at the top there, the peak of paranoia and expectation, where there's so much press coverage, there's lots of speculation, there's Hollywood movies about robots and Terminators, and then it starts to get adopted. And people sometimes are disappointed with the results, and it falls into that trough of disillusionment. And in the book, I've got case studies of banks, for example, Saxo Bank in Denmark, whose staff were very threatened by the AI they were using, and clients found it very gimmicky. So they abandoned it and moved on to another project about a year later, where they were able to onboard their customers using AI very successfully. And we have to get through a period sometimes of 2 to 5 years or more to really reach the plateau of productivity. That's what we're aiming for. So now I want to share with you the business case for AI. Down the left-hand side in this slide, you've got all the different industry sectors. Not all of them, obviously, your one might be missing, but there are quite a few listed there. This is McKinsey, and across the top, what's the job function? What's the business function where that sector is mostly using AI? So take retail, bottom from the left. Sorry, one up from the bottom. And then go across to the biggest number, the third one along, retail 52 in the blue, marketing and sales. Retailers are using AI mostly in their marketing and sales. Take the top one, telecoms, and go one across to service operations. And telecoms operators are mostly using AI for their service operations. So BT, for example, in my book, uses predictive analytics to understand weather patterns historically and in the future. And when the broadband lines are going to go down because of really bad weather, they can schedule X thousand engineers to be in their vans going out and doing service. So there's different ways that AI is actually being used. Ultimately, we're looking at two things, either an increase in revenue or a decrease in costs. And here you've got statistics showing brands that have adopted AI for marketing are looking at 37% reduction in cost and an increase of nearly 40%, which is powerful from AI in marketing. So let's look at a few examples of AI in use across those different job functions and areas. Conversational AI. So this is really where brands, businesses are leveraging digital assistants and messaging, chatbots. And it's a paradox because actually the AI is more human. The AI is about data and it's augmenting the intelligence of the person operating it. So if you are a doctor, a barrister, a marketing professional with all of this incredible data at your fingertips, you can drive human-like conversations at scale whilst maximizing personalization. So you can actually do your marketing and your sales and other job functions at a huge level in a very, very personalized way, which is powerful. So in my book, I talk about the paradox of personalization. It's not the big scary robot coming and taking your job. Lead generation, this is a tool called people.ai, and it's about integrating in with your CRM, your Salesforce, and advising salespeople. This is the best task to focus on. This is the best headline to use in your emails. This is one that a lot of people are starting to use, Otter AI, which is about productivity. I did a Facebook live stream the other day, and from the hour-long chat, the Otter AI did all of the transcript, and we were able to distribute that. So it's about scheduling, automation, and so on. So again, some more case studies in a number of different sectors. God forbid you go and have an accident, but if you do in your car, there's Ageas, who is an insurance company in the UK, and using them with their AI, you can submit a photograph as you report an accident. So as it happens on your smartphone, you report an accident, and using computer vision, which is a part of AI, the machine learning looks at the digital photographs and assesses the damage and quickly gives you a repair cost. That's cool, that's automated, that's great marketing and customer experience too. I feature big brands in the book and small organizations too. And this is one of the bigger ones, TGI Fridays. They used to have to obviously have quite broad categories of customers. Now, using a tool called Amperity, they can make their marketing to over 4 million guests who've given them consent using AI, and they can do personalized marketing to them. Equally, when the restaurants reopen, certainly here in the UK in a month or so, someone walks into the restaurant and they no longer say female 40 to 55, they can say Katie comes in on a Thursday night, she orders ribs, but her husband's vegan. And it's that level of personalization that the AI can give the people in the restaurant serving. This is a Japanese restaurant. They have AI to predict how many diners are going to be in the restaurant. And that's about analyzing customer, weather, tourism data, and it's 95% accurate. That's going to be amazing when they reopen in all over the world, the restaurants, and it will help reduce food loss, and it will help them triple their productivity and increase their profits, which is certainly with the current COVID situation, very, very powerful. So I'm giving you lots of examples. You need to know how to get started, who to turn to. Here's a list of many of the marketing AI tech disruptors and organizations who can help you. You've got the big brands, you've got Microsoft, you've got Azure, you've got IBM Watson, Adobe Sensei, Amazon Web Services, but you've also got all of these different companies. The reason AI is so viable now is that we have had 70 years of waiting for it. So they called those AI winters. We're in an AI summer now because we've had 10 or so years of smartphone technology and we've got great data. We've got cheap processing power. And so the venture capitalists come in, the big companies get involved, and it's viable. But one of the problems at the moment is CEOs I work with say to me, it's a wild west out there. We don't know who to turn to. There's still some work to be done to get the glue that fits everything together, and the regulation and some other really important areas that you really need to get involved in your own trade bodies, in your own organizations. So how do you prepare? What's your strategy? So I find this slide very reassuring. I've been in business 30 years. These skills recommended by the World Economic Forum are not telling me you've got to go and learn to code, but they are saying I need skills, which actually I've had for many years, and I'm sure many of you have had too, that are about the things the machines and AI can't do yet. Complex business problem solving, critical thinking, creativity. I'd slightly argue on the creativity one. Another time we'd probably cover that in the Q&A. But these are important. But if we look at certain hard skills, and again, these are in Australia and globally, you've got AI coming in there number 4. So there certainly are some hard skills. I mean, if you're graduating now with a degree in AI, a degree in data science, you're hot property. And those that already have that have good business skills like the ones I mentioned there, you're hot property. But those of us that are, basically looking at adopting AI in enterprise like me, or starting to consider how we use it, don't feel like you've got to go and learn how to code. It's not about that. Coming on to the last section now, what's your plan? What I'm sharing with you now is the scorecard for success from my book, which looks at a number of areas. Score yourself 0 out of 5 for each of these 10 areas, and you'll have a score of maximum 50. If you score 35 upwards, well done, you're transformational. Something in the middle, 20 to 35, you're transitioning. Anything below 20, and I bet this is a lot of you, you are more traditional. Do you have the right mindset, the right buy-in from the board? 3 and 4 are crucial. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. Have a business case. Do some experimentation. Collaborate with other departments in your organization. 6 is crucial. You have to reskill, you have to buy in the skills, you have to hire. All different reasons for doing that. Culture, absolutely fundamental. Cultures can change. The fundamentals of the integrity and the purpose that you have in an organization don't need to change, but you need to be fair, outward looking. You need to be in it for the long term, and that means adopting to new technology, which means being innovative. 10, having a roadmap, and 9, very close to my heart, because this is about democratizing a great education for everybody. Kulvinder mentioned my project. It's not for profit, it's pro bono on my behalf. It's a lot of work, but it's about me and 6 corporates, Microsoft, PwC, and many other amazing people, delivering 6 sessions for a couple of pilot schools. We'll roll it out internationally, and it's really about closing the skills gap. So, have a look at that, particularly those of you that win the copy of the book. It's not expensive, so don't worry if you don't win it. But, how do you get started? As well as that, think about AI over the next 6 months. Don't wait 2 years. Don't build it into your 3 to 5 year plan. Have an action plan for now, which says, I need to learn some new behaviors. I need to have a watching brief. So am I looking at, for example, how is AI impacting our marketing? How is AI impacting human resources? Is my competitor already taking advantage of new technologies like this? We are needing to collaborate, in all different departments. So if you are the digital team or the sales team, or you are in finance, you need to all come together. This is a C-suite, even if you're a very small company, it's a management team issue. So you need to really think about, going back to, this slide here, how are we going to get started? Where do we fall down in terms of our scores? How can we start to experiment? So if you look at the experimentation again, what we're really saying there is do a small proof of concept. So I mentioned that bank went in quite deeply and had chatbot assistants. Staff found it a little bit threatening and clients found it a bit gimmicky. It didn't work, but they didn't abandon it and waste the money. They then learned from that, they iterated, and they started to use AI for their onboarding within 15 minutes and reducing a lot of costs there. So once you've done that experimentation, you've been able to understand, what's the problem that AI needs to actually solve. And again, back to number 9, some gaps at the moment in that space. So I'm on the all-party parliamentary group. So much work is needed globally and countrywide and regionally, because the academics, the business people, the educators, they all need to collaborate. They all need to understand the balance between innovation and regulation. And what's happening in China and America, they're quite far ahead. But the UK is setting itself up as the sort of barometer for AI for good, which I think is a very special place to be, and it's very, very important. So, I'd encourage all of you to consider this and, to come up with your own roadmap. But don't just jump on the bandwagon, think about how it could be used across your organization. So as I say, coming to the end of my session now, we will have the opportunity in the Q&A to cover off a number of these areas, but I would encourage you to jot down a couple of the tools that I've mentioned. And of course, in one of the slides, there were numerous other ones. Have a Google alert set up, Google alert, or regularly look at AI. And if you don't know Boolean search, I'll tell you quickly what that is. Boole was a mathematician. And if you do AI and then capital AND and then any word, so AI and Sunderland, or AI and law, that capital AND is a filter and it helps you to search. So daily, you can look at the news that's coming through on AI in your sector. And that's what I mean by that watching brief. So have a look at how AI is panning out in your country, in your region, in your job function, marketing, sales, in your industry sector, pharma, retail, telecoms, whatever that might be, and keep up to speed. There are some great sources of information, magazines like AI Business, obviously national papers, your own newsletters and trade bodies in your industry, and of course social media as well. So stay up to speed. Please feel free to connect with me as well after this webinar. So in the meantime, thanks to Sharon and Kulvinder and all the team for letting me speak, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.